And good evening. I'll call the March 9th meeting of the Berlin Zoning Board of Appeals to order at, what is it, 7:08, I'll say. This meeting is being recorded and all attendees are advised that they may have their image, voice, or and telephone number recorded for the record. Let me introduce the members of the board. I'm Lynn Ryan, Chair, and we have Jenny Bartlett. If you'd raise your hand, please. He's our clerk. We have Keith Susie, and we have Ginny Zakatinsky. Fortunately, there's 4 of us. Okay. What do we have next on the agenda? Oh,
Is the
CP, yeah, CP T seminars. I
you
looked up,
Lynn,
yes,
the first item on the agenda is the potential updates to the zoning bylaws by the planning board.
okay. I know, and I just printed those buggers. What did I do with it? There's gonna be 11 planning board articles. And I think I'll ask Susanna, because she has a copy of this too, to send you a draft. I just warn you, or maybe I'll give it to Leanne and she can give it to you guys. This is a draft and it's still in the process. When's their next meeting, Leanne? Do you know?
They're, I think, the second, fourth Tuesday. So they just had a meeting last night, so it's the 22nd.
Okay. And I'll just run through, there's 11 articles. I won't bore you with all of it, but they're creating, Article 1's going to create a definition for a contractor's yard and a sales room and a service establishment. The second article is to see, always to better define floor area. You might want to, has Rich mentioned anything about this, Leanne?
No, but he's been away on.
Okay, why don't you especially bring Article 2 to his attention? Because I know he was at one meeting and he was saying he had difficulty with it too. That definition says you got to remove inside walls and hallways and toilets and all of that kind of stuff. And they've simplified it. Article 3 is for home-based contracting business. I think it was Susanna that wanted, by adding the word incidental to materials, and adding the following sentence: any vehicle displaying the name of or any advertising for the home-based contracting business shall not be considered a private use vehicle. Some of the folks were saying that, you know, oh, the pickup truck is my private vehicle, but it displayed the name on the side of the truck. So they were getting away with having a third or a fourth or a fifth vehicle.
Is it registered commercial, Lynn? That vehicle?
Well, I guess it doesn't really matter. I know my husband, his truck was registered as commercial for a long time and he had no commercial use for it. So I guess it doesn't matter, you know, they're saying if it displays the name on the side. Article 6 is to clean up that noise. They're gonna, you know, coordinate the sounds. And then they're gonna better change the format a little bit so there's no question as to what they mean about temporary construction. It says the above limits won't apply to temporary construction, snow removal, parking lot vacuuming, sweeping, noise-making devices which are maintained and utilized to serve as warning devices, use of power tools, and shall not apply to sounds emitted during and associated with parades, public gatherings, or sporting events for which permits have been issued, provided that said parades, public gatherings, or sporting events in one city or town do not cause noise in another city or town. So that last one, that F, is probably the most significant. Article 5 goes into the non-conforming uses. We could spend a day on this. I'll let you read it. It's fairly substantial. What they're doing is, in the past, there was some question as to whether or not the building inspector would have wanted to enlarge a property, and they've put that back on us. And they've differentiated between non-conforming uses in a residential agricultural district and the other districts. In other words, they were concerned if buildings like Village Farm, for example, the building's there, it's vacant. It was used for the repair and sale of equipment. They want us to be able to give them a permit so that they can change the use, but not in residential. In residential non-conforming, they want to go back to the original use of the land as residential agricultural. Yeah, they changed abandoned non-use, and I think that's it. But I'll send it. You don't have this, Leanne, right? That
I
didn't
do
get sent to
not.
me. Okay, I'll send it to you, and then we can go on with it. The CPTC seminars, did you all get the last one that I went to, the spreadsheet, no spreadsheets, PowerPoint?
I forwarded it on.
Yeah, you should take a look at it. There were some interesting things. Remember 28 Oak Street? And we were telling him he should reconfigure that property. Within those PowerPoint, you'll find out we had the power to make him do it or refuse his permit.
Oh,
So there's some interesting things in there. We could, again, spend a day on it, but it was worthwhile. On their website, which is masscptc.org, they are supposed to, well, usually in March, they have their annual conference. It says that it's going to be not in person, it's going to be online. I encourage you, we will reimburse you to take a look when they come out. They do not yet have an agenda for that time, but there is usually, I've always found something that was interesting to go to. Okay, enough of CPTC. Oh, the other thing, if you haven't already, it's worth your while to go out there on the masscptc.org, and under 2022 seminars, I think, there's a place you can click and you can be put on a mailing list, and they'll notify you of any seminars that are coming up or when they're having their spring seminar. Discussion of the spreadsheet database project. Okay. I have good news. I did get a response late this afternoon, Leanne.
Oh, of course. On time.
I went to the ethics board myself because in addition to previous questions, the folks were asking if anybody here could, sign for the hours, okay? So we went through the whole night. I asked for written, okay? I wanted it in writing because I didn't want someone to bark later on. By the way, their decision I can share with others, but they can't, the Ethics Commission can't share it with anybody. I thought that was interesting. And I only promise not to share it with anybody unless I tell two of the folks who may apply for our project agree to it. Basically, it's a go. I sent her a copy of the policy the town has. I mean, she really tried, okay? But the only issue I really see is that she wants anyone who might participate in a project that the board is discussing not to participate ongoing in the discussion. So if we discuss this project in the future, we won't be, I'm sure they can listen, Ginny and Pat, but they have expressed a potential interest. But after all of this, I have in my nifty little paw, you know, something from ethics that technically we can take to the bank. Okay, Ginny?
Okay, Pat.
So it's over. It's
Okay,
over. All right.
good to hear.
A discussion of the communications from the petitioner at 275 Central Street. Okay, folks, if you have a couple of minutes, Mr. Uradi has been busy. And yet again, and I'll just share with you, again, because we're not in a hearing, this is just communication, and it is, I would appreciate you not commenting or deliberating on any of this. Let's see, which pile is that in? Okay, I had or Leanne got a note from Mr. Uradi. And it basically said, let's see, what did it say? I wanted to reach out to provide you an update on this property. We are exploring an alternative resolution. It involves purchasing a budding property. We have made progress, but would need time to complete. It would allow us an entrance exit on the back side of the lot and avoid the cost, time, and on engineering the other approach. If possible, I think we would both, there's a few typos in here, would see this as the best possible solution. As such, I will not be possible for us to complete the work needed in the timeline to present at the April meeting. I'm not exactly sure what the process should be. So Leanne rightfully, you know, did not get involved. I wrote back, while it's commendable that you are seeking to resolve the issue of access to 275 Central Street, it is troubling that you may be seeking yet another continuance so far in advance of our next scheduled meeting. Perhaps you will be able to give the ZBA an expanded explanation in April. There are other outstanding items that you should address in April. It would be expected that you will have a traffic study, documents from the Board of Health and Conservation Commission, and reports from your meetings with the entities we suggested. These have been longstanding requests of the bylaw and board. Again, you still have the option to request to have your petition withdrawn and refile it when you are in a position to move forward. And then Mr. Uradi came back and said, good morning. The purchase of a budding property would put the entrance exit further back on Taylor Road, therefore avoiding the need for the traffic study and many associated engineering costs the DOT requires. Unfortunately, this process, we have been told, will take 6 to 8 months to do. So at this time, I think it makes sense to withdraw and refile to give enough time to gather and present everything at once. We appreciate your patience and consideration throughout this process and look forward to speaking with you again when the time comes. I wrote back to him, Mr. Uradi, this makes sense for both of us. Please check with the building commissioner to see how the lack of an outstanding petition for your site plan approval may or may not affect any ongoing work or use of the property. If you plan to withdraw your petition, you will still need to attend the board's hearing continuation in April to make the formal request and receive a vote of the board. So, Leanne, one of the things I would ask you to do is to
Mhm.
reach out to Mr. Uradi. And if that's his plan, I know either you or the town clerk has a form that needs to be filled out for withdrawal.
Okay,
We still need to have the meeting in April because only the board can allow him to withdraw, and it can be with or without prejudice. One allows him to refile at any time. The other requires that he wait 2 years. One other thing, let's see, I don't want to get off the. All right, so that was the discussion of the communication. Could I suggest, Leanne, that on our future meetings, one of the topics, just like approval of minutes, be listed as communications? And that'll cover us if anyone has talked to someone or they want to share something with the board.
okay,
We have approval of the past minutes. I think are all four of us will, we at the last meeting?
I believe so. Let me-
Yes.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of, what was it, February 10th?
9th.
9th, okay.
So moved.
Is there
Second,
a second? Okay, moved in second. I'll do a roll call vote. Keith,
Yes.
Ginny,
Yes.
Danny,
yes.
and I'm a yes. So they're approved as submitted. I know you have something on warrants. Just before that, I would like to mention that I checked on how long we can continue to meet via Zoom. Again, it's up to the board at any point in time. And I was told that there was an extension during the last uptick of the pandemic that extended this till July 15th. So I would like to know your feelings about continuing to do Zoom or doing in person. I think it's the recommendation at the town hall that we do what we can on Zoom, is it not, Leanne?
Yes. I mean, some boards prefer to meet in person, so they don't object, but yeah, if you're able to do it virtually.
How do you guys feel?
This is fine.
I think
Mm,
it's
Zoom.
fine also. I don't mind Zoom.
Yeah. Same thing.
Sadly, the people that can't attend, when things happen, like tonight, we lost 2.
But they wouldn't have been here in person, right?
I would hope so.
Oh, well, because of the electricity.
Correct.
What
Wonder if
happened?
I wonder if
Doing-
town offices has power.
Right.
I would
And there's a
assume
good
so.
chance we wouldn't either have any. What
Is that a-
happened, I think a car hit a pole on Linden Street near Denny.
Just above us,
Um,
but it's gotta be the other side of the brook, because the record just went up and turned around and came back. So it's gonna go around 62 to get to it.
Ah. Well, one of the suggestions might be that the town hall is available and it has Wi-Fi access, does it not, Leanne?
Yes.
So in a case like this, they could go to the town hall and participate.
What room are you in there?
You could probably have your pick.
Yeah, yeah, I don't think anybody's using any of the rooms, so.
Oh, okay.
Right now, I don't think anybody is meeting in person.
And there's a password. Where is that? Like in the copy room there or
Yeah,
something?
it's posted in the cup all throughout the building. It's posted in the hearing room where we used to meet. I know it's posted on the wall in there.
Okay, so, if something happens, again, if it's a storm, it's a storm, okay?
Mhm.
But, yeah, if something happens and like tonight, it's possible to, go to the town hall and participate. Given that we can still do Zoom and there seems to be, I'll ask again next month, but the reason I'm asking is because we have a petitioner for next month. It's 272 West Street. The last name is Amorim. And he's looking for a side lot setback variance. There were copies down at the town hall. Has everyone been able to pick them up?
I
didn't
did
know
not,
about them.
yeah, Lynn, I did not inform the board of it because I was waiting for the public hearing notice and all of that. So, and I was gonna mention it tonight, that there are hard copies in the ZBA box in the mailroom for anybody who wishes a hard copy.
And I have been holding off. I just did again today, a hearing notice, but I wanted to meet with you folks for two things. I want to do it at the April meeting, which is on the 13th, at 7:15. We have a hearing scheduled, continuance for Mr. Urati. But I have a feeling that that will be a relatively short meeting in lieu of the communication. So we can warn the petitioner that there is another hearing at 7 o'clock, and it's our expectation at this time it won't take long. But I didn't want to send it out at 8 o'clock and have us sitting there wringing our hands for 45 minutes. Does that seem like a logical thing to set it at 7:15, folks?
Yes,
And we'll do it over Zoom. We have at least 4 people to concur that it'll be over Zoom.
yes.
I just looked up that 272 West Street. That now is they've been sold, and it's a Douglas Landscaping Company.
I wasn't going to mention that, but take a look at the email on the petition. Yeah. I'm wondering what the addition is for. But that will be something that we can deal with. You might want to run that by Rich. Leanne.
If memory serves, and I might not be remembering, I think this came up and he was told that he would have to come before the board for a special permit in order to run his business there. And again, I'm not sure if I'm remembering correctly because there were a few different ones. I thought he decided that then he wouldn't run his business there and not request a special permit.
For which we will ask him the address of his business when he appears. So, other than that, I know, Jenny, you have an update for us. So,
After working with Leanne, the town accountant and the town clerk, we tracked down Mr. Pascoli. And after numerous phone calls, I got to speak to his secretary, and I have a letter in hand from him asking for the money back. And Leanne has typed it up on our letterhead, and I hope to present it to June either tomorrow or Friday.
I'm sorry, Denny, I'm sorry. I didn't hear who it's for. who you heard
It's,
from?
It's John Deli Pascoli that has something to do with a railroad. And he was the back guy for River Run project at the old Spooky World pit.
Okay,
And he gave $5,000 for peer review.
oh, yeah.
And it never went through. And it's been sitting there for
10 years.
7, 8, yeah, a
I
long
bet-
time.
I bet he was happy to hear from you.
I didn't speak to him in person. I spoke to his secretary,
Oh, okay.
and she sent a letter. Right, let me look quick here.
Are we pretty sure it's us that took the money?
Yes, we're
Yes,
pretty certain it was the ZBA that received the money for a peer review. The check came in from First Colonial Development Company, for which Mr. John Priscoli he was the applicant, but it was for First Colony Development Company. And it was for the 40B project at River Run.
his letter, thank you for reaching out to my office with regards to the money for the peer review for the River Run project in Berlin. I would like you to mail me a check to P.O. Box 825 Carver, Mass. And if I have any more questions, talk to his secretary, and he signed it, John Deli Pascoli. So he owns the
In
company.
Carver,
Huh?
in
Yeah,
Carver.
he owns it in Carver, and he owned the people that gave us the check.
You know, like, what is it, Thomasville or something? It's like a train place in
Edaville Railroad, I believe.
Edaville Railroad, that's it. And they
Oh,
have
yeah.
Thomas Day. He bought that. He's a kid at heart. I'm sorry you didn't have a chance to talk to him because
Yeah.
I'll have to call Gene Carlo, who was superintendent at the school. We did a lot of work with him. He was involved in, he and Gene wanted to build a skating rink at Assabet, okay? And they went so far as to get the legislature, God knows Gene Carlo could talk a hound off a meat wagon, to agree to it, okay? And I was in on the meetings and they said to me, aren't you excited? I said, well, the best, if nothing else, we're gonna get a decent soccer field out of it. Well, guess what we got? A decent soccer field. But anyway, he was very generous with Assabet. And I'll have to give Giancarlo a call.
Well, it's a happy ending.
Yes. You know, Denny, you've done, and Leanne and June and everybody has done so much work on this. This is terrific. But
Yeah,
I
just a lot
hope,
to track this down.
I hope,
Probably also learn from it that
yes,
when these checks are presented, that there's a lot of information with them. Because this one apparently got rather lost in the files and fell through cracks.
Mhm.
And then some.
And then some, yeah.
And Mr. Senni over at Riverbridge has been made aware that the money is not theirs.
Is-
That it was prior to them buying the property and we found the rightful owners.
although he did put his hand out.
Oh,
Ah, sure. Yeah. Well, that's great news.
yeah.
Good work, everybody.
Thank you. And there's only 2 left. It's
POTUS Solar Farm,
Otterson,
Oh,
Capes of Berlin.
Capes of Berlin.
well, we know who that is, though.
Yeah, so I don't think, talking with Timmy Wheeler and the planning board, we were both in agreement that we don't want to take it away yet, but give it
Nope.
back to them.
Not quite yet.
And the house did get destroyed.
I noticed.
Yeah.
Wow.
Which
Yeah.
house
House
is,
is down, the old house
The red
at
house.
Capes
out in
of
back.
Berlin.
I guess the big thing was the oil barrel leaked and then,
Oh,
that held them up for months, I guess.
oh, it will, sure.
what was it?
It was
The
an
oil tank.
oil tank leak.
Oh,
So,
well, that is understandable, although oftentimes I don't understand, Mr. Rhodes. I mean, that's a project getting an oil tank cleaned up.
Yeah, when it leaks into the soil. It's very costly.
So has anybody else got any, oh, Mr. Sousa, you'll be thrilled to know that I had a call from my daughter-in-law this afternoon. And she said she's sick of people calling, trying to buy their property at 255 Central Street in Berlin. So she said her husband, my oldest, just hangs up on them. She said, but I did talk to this one guy, would you call him back? And I called him back and I told him, I'm not interested. I'm not going to the home, Keith.
Well, I guess we'll just have to figure out how we can put up with you then.
Yes, this you will. So, I don't know, there's a lot of interest in property around our area right now, isn't there?
Yep.
have they
Yeah, pretty much
really
everywhere.
sold, have they really sold the house across the street from you?
Absolutely. People in Boylston.
What is their name, Lynn? I've forgotten.
Let me see if I've got it in my notebook here.
Do we want to close the meeting and then,
Okay, I'll entertain a motion. Oh, you guys are all available for next month, are you?
I
Yep.
am.
Yes.
Okay, Keith, are you available?
yep,
Okay. Who made the motion?
No one.
Who did?
Well,
I
Keith,
thought-
Steve.
I make the
I'll-
motion to close the meeting.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? If not, Keith,
Aye.
Jenny,
Aye.
Denny,
Aye.
and I'm an I. Will see you next month.